All right, we are live. Good evening, everybody. This is episode 12 of the Running Mullet. It might look a little different to you right now because there's no Grace here yet. Apparently, she's stuck in traffic in, I believe, Texas. So I don't know. She needs to, what's the saying go? Save a horse, ride a cowboy? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Grace is going to be joining us as soon as she can, which is hopefully within the next 10, 20 minutes. But in the meantime, we're going to have Marisa and John Johnson just join in anytime they want to talk about anything and everything that's happened this past week and who they are. So without further ado, we are going to start the show. I got to do my little rhyming scheme. And this week I'm compelled to delve into episode 12. Let's go.
I'm Eric, Idiot Runner Kosek.
And I'm Grace, Hot Pants Langheim. Eric is all business in the front of the pack, and I am all about the party in the back.
That's right, business up front and party in the back. Together, we are the Running Mullet.
And we are going to talk about every aspect of running, the podium to the DNF and everything in between.
If you are a runner, this show is for you. Now sit back, get out your foam roller, and enjoy the party.
All right. Welcome, guys and girls. Thank you for being here. I mean, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for I'm grateful to be here.
All right. Marisa Kovac. Okay, I got that right. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And the legendary John Johnson. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I think all three of us can agree we all had a pretty busy weekend in one way or another. John, I want to talk to you in a little bit about who you are, how you got into running, what you do, why you do it, and where you're headed from here. And Marisa, I wanted you to come on because we just ran Massanutten 100 together. Not together, different races, but
not together.
ran the same race this past weekend, and we both finished. And I'm pretty sure we probably have very different stories of the experience and how the race went. And that's a reason why we have this show, and it's a beautiful thing. So welcome. I'm not sure how our paths crossed. Can you tell me that?
I've known your name, just like most trail runners in Pennsylvania. I do think I know I saw you at Hills Creek running,
right?
like 3 weeks ago or however long ago that was. But I've known who you are for quite some time. And I mean, you kind of stand out there, kind of like Rhoda does. You guys, it was interesting. Even at Massanutten, there was a woman in front of me, and she was I ran with Sam and Rhoda for a little bit, not quite long enough. But there was another woman that was running with the three of us, and she looked back at me at one point in time after Rhoda and Sam had passed us, and she goes, "Those two girls just like took off, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's Rhoda and Sam." And she looked back and she was like, "That was Rhoda Smoker," and I was like, "Yeah." I mean, she's people know you guys, so I've known who you are for quite some time.
Yeah, but it's funny a story like that because it's the same goes for me and John Johnson. You know, it's just like we all do the same thing, but we at least for me, I put a lot of people up on pedestals because I look up to them and respect them. But the bottom line is we're all just the same thing, doing the same thing. Who cares what the times are? What we finish. Yeah. I do want to talk about my race a little bit, but I like I said, I think our experiences were probably a lot different, and your experience was a lot more badass in my opinion because you went down there solo, which is, I mean, everything solo, right? So you went down by yourself and just used the aid stations for the full 100 miles without having any crew, basically not knowing anybody, right?
Well, yes, that's correct. But it's not the first solo race I've done. So I did Beast of the East, which is in North Carolina. I did that in December. And from that experience, I learned as long as you pack your drop bags correctly, you're going to be okay. And I had read it. I had gotten past experiences from Massanutten, and I read through the participant guide pretty thoroughly. So I knew that the aid stations were going to be just jam-packed with everything that you needed. And they were amazing. And I knew from Beast of the East what I needed at each certain spot for me in particular. So I had done that going down. So I wasn't really nervous about that. And I knew that Ben was going to be there. And he was actually at Beast of the East, and I had no idea he was going to be down there. And just to see him at an aid station, he just like lights it up whenever you're coming in. And that, no matter where you are, no matter if you're coming in at mile 13 of a 100-mile race, or you're coming in at mile 96 of a 100-mile race, to see him just shouting your name and being excited really lifts your spirits. So I was down there solo, yes and no. You know, are you ever really solo in the ultra running world? You know, it's everybody's there to support everybody else. Everybody just kind of wants to see everybody succeed. So I wasn't nervous about that at all. I knew Sam was going to be there because we had run a training run together not that long ago, and she had mentioned she would be there. I didn't know you were going to be there. I didn't know Rhoda was going to be there, or Patrick, who I just met this past weekend. So it was great to see some familiar faces.
Yeah, it was. I agree. I mean, all those people that you just mentioned are the ones that I knew running it also. And it's funny you mentioned Ben, because he screamed my name at the top of his lungs at the first aid station that they were at. And boy, it lifted my spirits. Yeah. He's such an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I've never ran a race such as long as 100 miles without having a crew yet. And I don't know. For me, I look forward to seeing those familiar, like you said, there's people you knew, but I like having that carrot out there, knowing, okay, every aid station I'm going to see my wife or whoever it may be.
Right. Well, I agree completely. And I'm pretty new to trail running. But my husband is usually my one-man crew. And the first year I did Eastern States at 21, I DNF'd. But every time I knew I was coming up to a crew accessible aid station and I was going to see him, that is literally what got me through. And then when I finished this past summer, or last summer in 2022, he was there, you know, up until Slate Run, and he was like, I need to go to bed. And I was like, okay, see ya. But just what you just said, like, what got me through the sections between each aid station was knowing I was going to see his face and get a hug from him. And it wasn't what he was going to provide for me. It was what, in terms of like material things, like electrolytes or rubbing Vaseline all over me. It was just the fact of just seeing him. But he, you know, it's a lot to ask of somebody to crew a 100-mile race. And he's the only one that goes out there. So he has to calculate, and we usually bring our dog. So he has to calculate like taking care of the dog and making sure everything's ready for me. And it's just exhausting. So, and we have 2 young girls. So
yeah,
he can't be at every race. And I get
Nope. I totally understand. I mean, I was kind of Facebook stalking you just today, and you know, I noticed you had the 2 young girls and a husband. So I feel like we're very similar. We might be in different stages of our running career, or whatever you want to call it, but the struggles are probably very much the same, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into a little bit. But before I do that, why don't you talk about when you did start running and where you are at right now, and maybe what's ahead?
Yeah, sure. So I did not grow up running. I was a pretty highly competitive gymnast growing up. And in gymnastics, literally like the day you turn 18, your body is just, hey, dumbass, like you're done with this sport. You know, it's just very, very hard on your body. So when I stopped gymnastics, running sort of filled that void for me. But I joined the Marine Corps in 2006, and that's literally what lit the fire. And I remember just showing up to every PT and like outrunning every guy that was in my shop. And that trend just continued. And it gained me a lot of respect throughout my Marine Corps career. So after I got out, I started taking it pretty seriously, and I was living in San Diego, and I ran my first marathon in 2014. and it was a shit show. Like, I feel most people's first marathons are like that. But it was after that experience that I was like, hey, you need to adjust some things because you could have a future here. So I ran roads for quite a long time. And then when COVID hit, I was trying to qualify for Boston. And every qualifying race that I had registered for was being canceled. So I started looking around, and the only thing that was open were ultra races. So and I'm sad Grace isn't here because she would know this area. I signed up for my first ultra. It was a 40-miler in Cadora State Park, which is in New York. And it's a loop. It was like they had to adjust it because of COVID. So it was like a 5.7-mile loop that you ran. I don't know how many ever times that equals 40. Right. And it was perfect for my first ultra because I could go to I didn't have a crew. I could go to my car at every loop and get what I needed, and kind of, if I wanted to stop, I could just go home. I never wanted to stop, but I ended up winning, and it kind of just accelerated after that, and I fell in love. And we live in Mount Gretna, so I have access to great trail systems out here, and it's just the thing of it. I just love being out there. Like, I'm usually running alone. The kind of support you guys have in North Central PA, it's not really like that for me here in Lebanon. I don't have that excitement when it comes to trail running, but to me, that doesn't matter. Like, I just go out there to be out there. So yeah, after Cadora State Park, it was called Trails for Tails. I won it 2 years in a row. And then I started sort of branching out, and that's kind of when I fell upon PA Trail Dogs. But my first major race up there was Eastern States, and I failed miserably. I DNF'd that first year. I turned in my bib at Slate Run, and because I had gone off course, and I remember like things going through my head, like, you're going to get lost in the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, and nobody's ever going to find you, or you're going to get eaten by a bear, like completely irrational things, but I had made up my mind right at that moment after I went off course, and I went like a half mile off course, that I was done, and then when I finally turned around and I got to Slate Run, the aid station, they were amazing. Like, they tried everything to get me back out there. Like, you're so far ahead of cutoff time. You could literally like go sleep in your car for 4 hours and then come back out and finish. And I'm like streaming tears, like, no, I'm done. But then, I had to come back. And I fell in love with that race. And there's a really special place in my heart for Little Pine State Park. Not just because of that race, but I take the family there to go camping, and there's just something special about that area. Like, it's just mysterious and beautiful to me. So. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I grew up over there. Our family has a cabin over that area, Slate Run area, Blackwell area, but and I don't live that far from it, but it's still a different world over there. You feel like when you enter it, you're some special place, like you said.
Yeah, it's like home. I didn't know about the Pennsylvania Wilds growing up, but I'm determined to make my girls know that it exists, because it's world-class trails right here in our backyard, and I do everything to take advantage of that.
Right. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because your comment from the race about every time you came into an aid station, or what was it? The race director or somebody, every time they saw you were smiling, right?
Yeah.
And every single picture I can find of you, I've never seen you not smiling. It's quite phenomenal. I need to learn from you. I tell everybody when they're running, athletes, I coach, and everybody, it's like, I always say, just don't forget to smile. It helps you. Even if you don't want to smile. It's just good for the soul. It's good for everybody else. It'll get you out of a funk. And you smiled this whole race of Massanutten 100 this past weekend. I did not smile. And I don't want to spend much time on myself, but I do want to, I wanted you on to kind of compare our experiences from Massanutten, and just to hear a little bit of what you thought and what you had to say. So quick backstory for me, and Grace knows a little of it, but I went into this race, in my eyes, I'm a competitive runner. I'm not great, but I like to compete, and I like to do the best I can. But I went into this race very undertrained in my eyes. Okay. I was putting in 4 to 6 miles a day max for several weeks leading up to it. No giant big runs that made me feel a big confidence boost or anything like that. No real elevation gain. And I was okay with it. It was all due to family stuff and springtime activities and stuff that I have to put running on a back burner too. But I went into it and knowing that there's a chance the legs are still there, and I might be surprised, right? So my first 10 to 15 miles, I felt good. I was holding about third or fourth place. I was by myself running my own race, which is hard to do a lot of the times. Didn't go out too fast, and all of a sudden, just everything in my legs and my body just drained. And when I say drained, it's not just tired legs. I had no run left. I was walking, and very soon, everybody behind me just starts passing me. And in my head, I'm saying, okay, this is fine. This is what I'm here for. I knew this might happen, and it's still a good training run, I guess. And that's okay. But from mile 15 to aid station mile 38 was a disaster. I was moving very slow. No downhill, no uphill, no flat. So to me, it's like, okay, I knew this was going to happen. So the devil starts talking to me. It's like, well, what's the point in walking 60 more miles when I knew there's a chance this was going to happen? I'm not that type of runner. I know what it's like. It's not my first 100. I'm not doing it to complete the 100. I have in my head, in my heart, I have to, if I'm not doing as good as I think I'm doing, I'm kind of failing, as horrible as that sounds. So I came into mile 38 aid station content on DNFing, and I was happy with it. I had in my head, I had no right to be there, and I knew that going into it. I really, this one just snuck up on me, and I had other stuff going on, and it was a training run. Even it sounds silly, but this 100-miler is a training run for another one in a month and a half, and then culminating for a 200 in September. So I wasn't racing it to compete. I was racing it to train to get mentally and physically stronger. And I felt like, well, 38 to 40 miles was a good day on the trails. But anyway, and this is all just as quick as I can get through it. But I met my wife, and she did what she does, and she pretty much said, you can't do that. You're not doing that. So I thought, this has happened before. Anybody that knows me, I sat in the chair for about 40 minutes, arguing with her, pleading with her, trying to explain why this is different than the last time, because it was different. Okay. This wasn't a low, John. This was not a low. This was like, okay, this is why we're supposed to train. Okay. And this is what it feels like when you don't train. I'm dumb. Like I shouldn't be here. That's it. I'm good. I'm happy. And finally, she pretty much says, it's mile 38. You're in the front third of the pack still. And I real quick, I argue. I said, but the whole pack is catching me. Like, as I move forward, everybody's catching me at this point. It just happens to be I started out faster. Now they're all catching up, and not just a couple. It was slow. Anyway, so I finally told myself it was 16 miles till I saw her again, and I said the only reason I'm getting up from this chair is because I know it's stupid to DNF at mile 38 of a 100-miler. If it was 100K in, 50 miles in, come on, let's face it. That's a little more okay, at least in my opinion. But 38 was just a joke. I probably would have been the first. It's not a joke. I shouldn't use that word. But I'm pretty sure I probably would have been the first one to DNF that day, which I was fine with. But either way, I knew it was like, let's say noon. So I knew I had 8 hours of daylight. I figured, well, I might as well just go walk and enjoy the trail till mile 55 or whatever it was. I took some ibuprofen, and several miles later down the trail, I don't know. Things worked again. I don't understand it. it wasn't a low. It was not a low. It was something off. I don't know. Maybe my calorie intake was off, my nutrition, I don't know, but there was nothing left. And after 15 miles of running. But anyway, I caught a bunch of people at that point, and the rest of the day, my attitude was, just keep moving. And I never went to that bad spot again. My legs stayed alive, and I finished in 24 hours and 30 some minutes.
Could have been impressive.
Well, thank you. I mean, I wasn't doing it for any time. That was just what I wasted a lot of time, arguing with Becky and stuff. But I don't know what to think of it. I'm still confused. And if you could believe me that it wasn't just a low, because I know what they're like, I really do, and I have a hard time with them too. But it wasn't that. I don't know what it was, but the fact that they came back to life, I came back to life and was able to go 60 miles at what I was hoping to do, just is really weird.
What was that ibuprofen you took?
That's what I told her. I mean, I don't know. It had to be. That's the only thing I can think of at that aid station that could have done it. Yeah, I ate some food and drank a little drink here and there, or at that aid station, but I don't know. Nothing was hurting that I wanted to take it. She just offered it, and I'm like, well, yeah, let's put everything in the body and see what happens. And I don't know. So I finished with a smile. I learned a lot of stuff. I'm thankful for my wife, because if I did what you did, I mean, I'm 100% sure I would have DNF'd at 38, and I'm still would be happy with it. Not happy, content with it today. Yeah, I would, John Johnson. I would, because it wasn't, the race was, had other reasons than just a 100-mile race. But I don't know. But anyway, for me, it was very rocky. My gosh, it was too rocky. I'm not good on rocks. I don't claim to be. I need to practice them more. I'm so tired of seeing rocks. I never want to see another rock. I think, I don't know if anybody else has done both that could join in. Well, you've done Eastern States. Mm-hmm. Man, I don't like to compare races, but the rocks of that course made Massanutten just as hard as Eastern States in my eyes, because it's slower, and the elevation was just as darn hard or close to it.
I definitely think Eastern States is still more difficult. For me, it's the descending at Eastern States. I mean, I was not prepared for that the first 2 times I've ran it. You literally I swear those trails just go to the middle of the earth, like you just go down forever, and you don't experience that anywhere else. I didn't experience that here at Massanutten, not at all. I do think technically it was very comparable, equal even, but the descents at Eastern States, and Virginia has switchbacks. I mean, they're smart,
Right.
We don't have that here. So those 2 things combined, not the continuous descending that just crushes your quads, and having the value of a switchback brought Massanutten up a little bit, on the scale there. But the other 100-miler I did, Beast of the East, I remember when I finished it, I messaged Ben and I said, Eastern States made this look like a fun run. Like, it was just, it was Beast of the East. It was difficult in its own way, but it was not even comparable to Eastern States and Massanutten. But, yeah.
I don't know. What I couldn't stand at Massanutten was the downhills. You're right. They weren't nearly as steep as Eastern States, but they had so many darn rocks on them. You couldn't let loose and just run. So I feel like I'm holding my quads back because I'm tiptoeing type of thing, instead of just letting loose and going down.
Well, I'll tiptoe. I'm not a good downhill runner.
No, I'm not either.
So I just take them as it comes. And then when the rain hit, I was going down in my head, there were only 2 major descents, and I was going down one of them in this torrential downpour. So it made everything, mud was everywhere. It was slick. I went down a few times, which is not uncommon for me, but still, it wasn't anything comparable to what you see at Eastern States.
Yeah. It was a great race overall, though. Man,
It
I'm
was.
very impressed.
The race directors was so kind, and literally every aid station I pulled into, people were just on top of you the minute you get there, like going to grab your drop bag if they know you had one, and what do you need, what do you need in your bladders, and what are you eating? And it was, you get that at our races too here in Pennsylvania, but I wasn't expecting it down there, and it was a welcome to me.
Did you see any wildlife?
No. I didn't see anything. No, I get really focused at night. I'm trying not to like light up any animal eyes in my headlamp, and I didn't, but I didn't see any wildlife. No. Did you?
I saw 2 turtles, and
I saw frogs. I saw a lot of frogs.
I saw a frog.
Yeah.
I saw a hen turkey that obviously had a nest or young poults nearby because she wanted to get across the trail really bad.
Oh.
And that's it, though. No,
Yeah.
not much.
I ran with Rhoda and Sam for a little bit, and that was also really nice for me. I'm not used to running with other people, especially at races, and they stay with me, and I tried to stay with them, and they kept those miles going quickly and it was during the really technical part of it. So I was grateful for them. So if they're listening, thank you guys. And then once we got to an aid station together once, and I saw them and I was like, guys, I can't, like, I'm good from here on out, thank you, but you guys take off. And they did what they do. So it was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're 2 phenomenal human beings.
They are, yeah. Very humble, and it was great.
What's I don't think I asked you this already. What's next for you?
Well, I'm trying to Triple Crown. So that means I have World's End in 2 weeks, and I'm a little nervous for that because I've never run World's End, and I was just talking to Ben yesterday or whatever day it was today, Monday, and he was telling me how easily the cutoffs can creep up. So from now until then, I'm just going to try and stay in the pool. I'm battling a hamstring tear, which is very defeating. It's more painful when I'm sitting. So going to work sucks, but when I'm in movement, it's not quite, either I'm not noticing it or it's not quite as bad. So I'm going to try and take care of that up until World's End. And then, I am doing Sharp Top in the end of June, which will be nice. And then, Eastern States again in August, and Marine Corps 50K in October. And then I'm resting.
Nice. Well, before I forget, thank you for your service.
Oh, it was an honor. It was.
Yep. Well, good. I'll see you at World's End. Then I'll see you at Toombs Flats Aid Station, which is previously Slate Run for Eastern States. So we'll see each other all summer long.
Great. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a great summer. It is. Oh, and the girls are running Little Loggers.
Oh, that's great.
I'm really excited for that. They're really excited too.
That's awesome. That is one of the best events out there.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And lucky for you, we have on John Johnson, who can give you some pointers on World's End too.
Good, thank you. I'm all ears, John.
Okay, I love World's End. It's not far from my house, probably 45 minutes is all. So we do a lot of running down there. Boy, after you make it through the first 4 miles down there, you're up on top of the mountain for a while. The first couple climbs it's dark, it's technical. You get up on top and you just keep moving steady. And I think that's the trick to World's End. I think people get freaked out. They think but it's not like Central PA rocks. They tell me how technical it is down there, but the rocks are bigger and they don't move like they do in Central PA. They aren't trying. All the rocks on there aren't trying to trip you up and break your ankles like they are in a lot of places in Central PA or Massanutten. So I think if you just keep moving down to World's End, the climbs aren't real massive, most of them, and
it's good.
Yeah. A lot of 500, 6-foot climbs like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just moving. It's
well,
just
that's my mindset going into any race, just continuous forward motion. So I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a couple sections, that mentally always grated on me. After coming into Dry Run Aid Station, what a misnomer for a name, because it's a swamp right before it and a swamp after. Survived that section, and there's a lot of good running after that. That's mile 44. Come out of that, you got some swampy section after that. Dave Walker, if you're listening, running up the road instead of through the swamp. but really it's a great race, and it's just staying steady.
Yeah.
That's always been my advice to everybody. I don't think it's as, to me, I didn't think it was as technical as everybody makes it out to be. Just keep moving forward on it. And you come out the other side of it, I always thought, for everybody.
Well, every time I mention that I'm running it, the first words out of anybody's mouth is, it's beautiful. And I've never been there. So that adds a level of excitement, is for me to go and enjoy the trail, you know.
It is absolutely spectacular. It is.
Yeah, that's one thing I miss at like Massanutten, and there was one or two spectacular views. They were spectacular, but you know, World's End, it seems like it has something every couple miles, and you know, Massanutten, it ended up being in the woods, and you're tired of looking at those rocks that all look the same. Not that they can control that, but you do miss it when you get spoiled with something like World's End and Eastern States.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll have no problem whatsoever with that race. Now, are you doing World's End and Eastern States solo?
Lee Arbogast is going to crew me at World's End, and I'm very grateful for that. He has become a good friend of mine, and I know he's going to keep me moving, keep me motivated. And then at Eastern States, my husband knows I need him there. So he's going to come up and crew me. And I have a pacer, Trevor Fye. He actually, he doesn't live in this area, but he runs these trails often because his girlfriend lives here. So he's down here every weekend. And I run into him out here, and I give him extra miles because we'll run together for a while, and then he'll take off, and then he'll double back to come get me. And then we'll run together some more. But he's going to pace me from, well, it was going to be Slate Run. What is it? Where are we at? Tombs Flat now?
Just below Slate Run,
He's going to pace me from Tombs Flat all the way to the end. So I'll have him there. And then, so I won't be out there. And I know these faces now. You know, they're like, everybody knows everybody else now. And I'm so grateful that I've gotten to know more people up in that area that offer me so much support. So I definitely won't ever feel alone out there. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know Trevor personally. He's a good dude.
He is.
Definitely
he
a
just
stud.
won Dirty German.
I know. He didn't just win it; he smoked it.
Yeah.
So that he's a great person to have on your side for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. All right. Well, listen. I thank you so much for coming on. It's totally up to you if you want to. If you have stuff to do, you can log off, or you can hang out and talk all you want and join in with talking to John or whatever.
I'll definitely hang. I'm grateful to be here.
Yep. John.
Yes.
All right. I don't even know where to start. Why don't you,
away, brother?
Can you quickly tell the story of how you got into running?
Yes.
Thank you.
One of my favorite stories.
Mine
So
too.
just before I turned 35, I work in a factory, and one of my wife's friends, her and my wife were going to the gym, getting in shape, and there I was, overweight and doing nothing with myself because I was getting fatter. We're going to break one day, and she says, "Hey, honey, you're going to have problems." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" After about 3 times this, I finally say, "Tell me, what are you talking about?" She goes, "Look around all these men we work with. When they hit 35, they all fall apart. They have back problems, knee problems. They're always sick." She goes, "That's going to be you. Look at your guts hanging over your belt." I said, "Screw you." I went to Dick's and bought a pair of shorts and a pair of shoes and took up running. And that next weekend will be 16 years.
16 years. So did you just start? What was the progression like? I mean, after you just started running, when did you run your first race and what was it?
Okay, I started running May 28th. Beginning of August, I ran a 5K where Amey works at. They had a 5K over there, and her friend agreed to run it with me. So that was my first 5K, first race.
And were you just addicted after that, or what? I mean,
I guess I'm a running nerd. Once I'm doing something, I'm doing it. So I started looking at times, and my goal at the time, I started looking at what other guys my age were running. And one of the top guys at that time in the mid-30s around here, they were running like 19 minutes, just under 20 minutes in a 5K. And I said, boy, that's my goal. I hit that, and I'm, running. I've hit what I want. So that Thanksgiving, I latched on to the guy at a 5K that I knew would run that time. And I told myself, half mile to go. I'm just running until I puke, basically. And so I just half mile to go, I took off, and I think I ran like a 19:33 or something like that. And then I kind of got that's great. That's great, PJ. Then what really got me was a couple months later, I went to a race on New Year's Day up in Binghamton, New York, and it was a 5K. But when I showed up, they had a map out from the previous year's race, and it said 2.7 miles. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to lay it for 2.7 miles. You know, again, you know how I am, Eric. I'm not afraid to just grip it and rip it and make a shit show of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran that thing as hard as I could, and I come across the finish line. I looked at the clock, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe that's all I can run for 2.7 miles. And the lady goes, oh, no, that was last year's course. This course is a certified 5K. And I'm like, oh. So I'd broken 18 minutes. I'd ran a 17:58, and I'm like, oh. So that was the one that kind of made me think, maybe I'll like this stuff, you know?
Right.
And
you're, I mean, at least in my eyes, well, everybody's eyes that races you or sees you, you're known to have that low end speed. That's your, if you want to call it a gift, I mean, you thrive on when I say low end, I mean like 10Ks and shorter, right? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
And you enjoy it, and your wheels at that distance and your pace at that distance is phenomenal. Compared to most people, you know, you're not out there doing track work and, you know, doing those daily speed works and things like that. It's just something that you're naturally gifted with that fast legs, right?
I think, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you know what my running is, like cross training. That means I run on road and I run on trail for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to the track. You know, once in a while when I'm running, I just pick up the pace a little bit and I just vary everything up, but I don't specifically work on speed.
Right.
I love racing short distance, you know, 10K in particular, 10 mile and under. Love it. 10K. If I only had one distance to race, that would be it. That's what I love, especially something with rolling hills in it.
Yeah, I mean, really, I guess it'd be rolling hills on road, right?
Road,
or not?
Yeah, I like road. You know, then some of the 10Ks we got in the Rocks of Amey series going on and stuff.
True.
You know,
yeah.
I like something. I don't know. I guess I like all 10Ks really. But,
yeah, I guess it's more the distance than road or trail.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you want to be Mr. Humble Pants and all that stuff, but we had that talk on here. Grace and I did about being humble and stuff. But I still want to go through your list of what you've accomplished after the lady told you you're fat and going to die. So, I mean, and the reason I want to do this is I met you several years after that point, probably more than several years, probably. Yeah. Where you had already done a lot of things that I'm still trying to do and like to do, as far as, you know, certain races and this and that, and what you've done around the state and things like that. So what was your big first? Let's go with, what was your first ultra? Do you remember?
It may have been Green Monster 50K. It's either Heiner 50K or Green Monster 50K.
Nice. And how was it? How did that go for you for your first 50K?
I'm gonna say it was Green Monster probably. I'm gonna give you one of my Adam Russell stories, because you know I love Adam Russell to death.
We all do.
Baddest man ever to run up a mountain on the East Coast. He knew I had a goal. I wanted to run under 5:30 for my first 50K out there. Adam Russell ran away with it, won the race. I'm coming back down off the mountain, and I'm dying coming down that last big downhill Green Monster. Who's standing at the bottom of that hill with that smile and laugh of his thing? Come on, you're getting this thing done. So, I mean, you know,
nice.
Got Adam Russell standing there. You're going to pick up the pace, you know. He's not going to let you slack it and miss your goal.
That's awesome. So you've done, let's see, you've done Manitow's Revenge, right?
Yep, twice. Love it.
That's 50 miler, and that's pretty gnarly. That's no 10K race.
No, 54 miles, 14,000 foot of climb.
Are you ever going to do it again?
I hope to God I do, at least 3 or 4 more times.
Nice.
The reason I haven't, it falls the same weekend we're in Acadia running every year.
Yeah, well, that's still fun.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you have on your wall behind you there? Do you want to talk about that? You have a wedge and an axe. All right.
Okay.
So if
I
okay,
promised I would talk about it.
I
So,
know, and I understand why. Like but it's pretty cool. So the coolest thing before we get into those two races, I guess, is so you've won the 50 World's End 50K,
yes,
World's End 100K,
yes,
and World's End Fall Classic,
yes.
making you the what is the wording that I'm supposed to use here?
Trifecta.
The trifecta male of World's End area. I don't know.
So that's true. I'm going to expound on that a little, and you're going to be, oh my God, I can't believe John's saying this.
Please do.
So there's more to the whole story than that. You know, I love the Loyal Sock Trail. I love running down there.
Mm-hmm.
So when David Walker put it out after I won the Fall Classics, that was the last of his 3 races there. There's other things that went into what made that whole thing special. You know, Adam Russell and I, you know this one because you hold the unsupported FKT on the Loyal Sock. Adam Russell and I happen to hold the supported FKT together on that.
Yep.
I've had this goal of anything that touches the Loyal Sock, I wanted to win. I've won Smith Knob 5 times. I won High Knob race. They used to have that. I got the supported FKT on the Loyal Sock, and then I won the 3 races there at World's End. So it's just one of those special places for me.
Right.
I love everything about it down there.
And whether you are still in that mindset or not, you have to get the unsupported FKT from myself in order to own the complete what's for, not trifecta, but I mean, it should. I hope it's still on your radar.
It is.
Okay, good, and as it should be. And I think anybody that knows you and knows me knows that that time is just waiting there for you to go destroy.
Well, it's a carrot, but it's a damn big carrot to reach. I'll tell you that. You know that.
It's a hard trail. It's a very very
the first
fun.
15 miles just beat you down there on that.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I'm very familiar with it because I've run it many times, but boy, you got to put together a good day down there and be smart for a long time to get to the other end of that one with a good time.
So talking about the trifecta, though, I mean, we do have a couple females that it hasn't been completed by a female yet, correct?
Correct. Becky Kosak's one of them. She's missing the 50K.
Yeah, so she'd have to run the 50, win the 50K.
Right. Christina Folsick is the other one.
Yep. Okay.
The other one that's in this mix and not a female, missing the 100K, is Mr. Adam Russell.
Ah, interesting. Very interesting. Well, either way, to even be close to that, finishing the trifecta that you're talking about is incredible. I mean, to think about it, and especially these days with the competition, boy, a lot these races are bringing in.
I will say this: when I won the 100K and 50K, that was many years ago too, and the level of competition has definitely picked up now. I mean, it is definitely a different game out there now.
Yep, but you've heard it before. You can never control who signs up for a race, right?
That's right. You can only race who's there. And not that the competition was bad, I'll tell you that. I mean, David Lister was second place down there that year.
Yeah.
David Lister he's a pretty stout individual. So, I mean, but I think the ultra game, there's a lot more on male and female side at the top now. A lot of people that are very fast. We're seeing a lot of younger people come into it, which is great, bringing a lot of speed.
Yeah, it's incredible what these people are doing.
Yeah, it is.
I'm glad I'm getting older because it's more of a reason why I don't have to get anywhere near these times, you know?
Yeah. Being old has its advantages.
Yeah. Well, what else you got? What else did I have I wanted to talk about? What do you have? Over 200 wins? Is that the number?
We're sitting at 192 right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you still have 8 to go. You slacker.
Yeah, I know, man. I got nothing, man, on that. I don't race as much as I used to. So
192 total race wins, and it doesn't matter if that's most of them are 5Ks or most of them are 100 milers or whatever. That's to win 192 times is very impressive.
Thanks.
I agree.
Thanks. I mean, it was something we did for years, chasing. I just set some goals, and I don't generally set goals anymore, Eric, about things like that. I try not to get wrapped up in things, but I did it half jokingly one day. Josh Gavitt, Adam Russell, and David Lister and I were running down on the Loyal Sock, down around World's End, and David Lister said something to me about, I don't know how many wins, and I said, if I ever get to 100 wins, I'm going to retire from running. And it was about 3 years. I had some very good years where I ripped off a lot of wins each year. And before I knew it, I was sitting at 99 wins, and I'm like, oh crap, I've got to revise this list, and it just kept running, unfortunate, I guess, stayed healthy. But a lot of it is if you got a little bit of speed and you just keep after it and you run a lot of races. And I go from road races, I've run track races, trail. There's a lot of opportunities out there to race a lot of different distances and find what works for you. And that's kind of what I did, especially the 10K trail stuff. It's stuff I love to do. So it's fun to go out and race. We used to race every weekend, it seemed like. So, the wins just came,
Yeah, I mean, they just come for me too. I think I'm at like 2043, but I don't keep track.
I just finished, and they hand me this belt buckle, like, here.
Yeah. Huh. Where's your bucket of buckles and whatever?
Honestly, I threw them away.
So go. All right. So it is pretty amazing, though. 192. Is that the number you said?
Yeah.
So, but you just had a DNF. Now, how many DNFs have you had?
3.
Oh, you had. I thought maybe this was your first one. What were the other? Well.
Than you.
I don't run as many ultras as you do either.
Welcome, Grace. We'll get to you. You can join in real quick in a second with all your fun stuff. But I want to finish. John, the DNF was from your something started hurting?
Yeah, we was down to Glacier Ridge. Every year I try to pick something stupid, whether it's a clothing optional race and you guys have heard this story.
Yeah, we got to get into that one too.
Yeah, whether it's a clothing optional race or something that I just shouldn't be doing. And Eastern States last year, I remember Marisa down there and her husband, seen him down there at mile 17 aid station down there. And, I was down there pacing Adam Kolb for the last or middle 30 miles of Eastern States. And I hadn't run a long distance in a long time. And that just lit a fire under me. Like, I'm going to actually train for distance. So I did. Then I'm like, maybe I'll run Eastern States, but I don't got a 50-mile qualifier. So I said, I'm going to sign up for Glacier Ridge. I put the miles in, put the work in. I was in good shape. So we go down to Glacier Ridge, and it's a fairly easy course, muddy in spots, but it's not a big climber, speed course. Cruising along. About mile 22, I come out of an aid station, and there's this muddy little trail section, and I must have just slipped right. I popped back up to the road, and my groin, I could feel something in my groin. I'm like, oh, whatever, I can live with that. And it had some flat sections after that, and I'm cruising along down these flat sections, probably 8:30, 8:45, not feeling good. And then all of a sudden, I get the shooting pain down the inside of my leg, right down to my knee, and I'm like, oh, boy. I'm like, okay, we'll stop, we'll stretch, we'll do that, and I did. Got to the first climb, and it was a dirt road climb, so it wasn't like it was a nasty hand over fist thing. And it just, uphill or downhill, just shot a pain right down the inside of my knee. And I said, okay, if it doesn't go away by the time I get to the next aid station, that's it. At that point, I'm at mile 30 when I seen the next aid station. I says, that knee stuff I won't play with. If it's the outside the knee, IT band, okay. But when it's something down the inside or the front of the knee, and you still got 20 miles to go, I just say, I want to race. I got other races I want to do. Yeah. I'm comfortable with that. It's out of my control at this point. I'm not going to just load up on pain meds just to hobble through and really hurt something. So. And
how is it today?
It's okay. I really ran today for the first time since then. We had to race over the weekend that we put on, so I spent last week getting ready for that. So today I went out and I just ran 4.5 miles, and the knee felt okay.
Still there though?
No, it's not there. I'm guessing I just tweaked something in the groin and just, I don't know, I guess I'm a wuss or whatever. I don't know, but
No.
No.
What were the other 2 DNFs, if you don't mind me asking?
Eastern States in
okay. Yep.
2016 had another groin issue. Dropped out there before he dropped down in the Heiner Run. Used to be up on Ritchie Road. Used to be an aid station there. I don't know if it's still there. Running along, and actually I was running with Dave Walker after he did a Superman face plant. After me and him talking trash to each other about how great a technical runners we only tripped over a leaf or a caterpillar. Wasn't too many miles later, all of a sudden I started having groin problems, and I cried all the way up out of Brown's Run, I think it is there, up that long climb, that never-ending one. And I couldn't even run the logging roads. So I says, you know what? I'm going down to Waterville Tavern, get a burger and fries, and go out and aid station hop the rest of the day. And that's what we did.
Right. Marisa, have you had any DNFs besides Eastern?
No, but my experience is far smaller than all of you.
I know. I was just curious.
But no, that was my only one. Yeah.
And do you regret that one?
No. In the moment, it's heartbreaking. You know, I was devastated, but literally in 10-minute drive back to the cabin, I looked at Robert, my husband, and I said, well, I have to go back, you know, and I made up my mind that quickly, but what I took away, what I learned from that was overwhelming. And it just added to the runner and the woman I am today. I learned so much from that DNF. So no, I think it was the right decision in the moment. My head just wasn't, my heart wasn't there. And my whole thing, I run because so much of me just loves to run. I don't run to train. I just run to run. So for me to keep on going would have been a dishonor to running in a sense. So I'm glad I stopped. And what I took away was an abundant amount of knowledge.
You know, it's funny you say that, because that, as my wife was yelling at me and I was yelling at her, trying to explain to her why it was okay that I quit this past weekend. That was one of my arguments, I told her, I said, I'm not having fun. The whole reason we do this, isn't it because we're having fun, and it should be kind of fun. I said, what I'm about to do, if you want me to walk 60 miles, it's not fun to me. That is not my idea of,
This is our Disney World running is. That's what I try to tell people.
Yeah.
We get all stressed out and wigged out about running or a race. We pay good money for this. We're like big kids at Disney World is what we are, and we're out on trails.
Yeah. And luckily that fun came back to me, and she, you know, I have nothing to say other than she was right, because it came back. If it wouldn't have, I was totally fine. I would be today. She won't believe me, but I'd be totally fine if I DNF'd at 38 today. Of course I'm happy I finished, but I don't know. But yes, I was not, that was in my head for several miles. It's like, this is not fun, and this is going to suck the fun out of running for me.
That's great.
Yes, everybody. It's so funny when she changes my name. Ha ha.
Yeah, it is.
Say it. Say your name.
Eric, she was right, Kosak.
There you go.
All right, Marisa, have you ran the Watona Trail Challenge?
No, I haven't, but I'm interested now.
You very much should be. So, John, I do want, before we start to finish up, and Grace, you need to like dive right into this somehow, this whole conversation. Sorry you were stuck in traffic.
Yeah. You ask your question, and then
you can have rapid fire at the end.
I got questions that are important.
Yeah, no. There's plenty of time.
Okay.
But anyway, my next thing with you, John, is let's talk about your race. The race just happened yesterday, Chief Watona Trail Challenge. That's the correct title, right?
Yeah, close enough, man.
Yeah. These days, it's a 4-mile, 1 loop around the lake, Mount Pisgah, or 2 loop 7-miler, right?
Correct. And yeah. Eric, you've won it. You've won all our. When we used to have a 14-mile, Eric Kosak has won that a couple times.
The long one, yeah. Yeah,
he also won the 7-mile race last year. Let's not play humble now, Eric.
You're right. I'm not playing humble. Thank you for pointing it out.
Keep them
I mean, I think everybody listening and anybody who will listen eventually, the one thing that makes people want to come to this race and come back to it is, and you think I'm going to say the people. No, it's the food.
Food.
It's the food.
We have
Now,
the best post race food anywhere. I'm not
yeah,
even.
I mean, trail runners love eating, and we all love our snacks and goodies and stuff. But this is a full-on smorgasbord breakfast concoction with giant cupcake desserts the size of your head and pies, and it's amazing. I mean, we're not doing this race for fitness.
No, I think this year we cooked up 65 pounds of bacon, 40 pounds of sausage, I don't know how many pounds of hash browns, probably 600-700 pancakes, 25 dozen eggs. What else?
Where's your beautiful wife at? Get her on the camera. I want to see her face.
She is right there.
I'm right
you know
here.
she's always.
I
Yeah,
don't know why you think I'm keeping him under control, by the way.
Yeah,
you're not shy.
400 cupcakes, and the cupcakes. So the story in the early part with me about the woman that told me I was overweight. She's the one that makes our cupcakes for us, and she stands there and cooks for us all day. And Eric, if Eric ever wants to tell John Schaefer cupcakes, yeah. If Eric ever wants to talk about peanut butter pie, same woman.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
So, anything special happened at the race this year? It's pretty good turnout. The weather was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was. The special thing was I didn't yell at him.
Why
First
not?
time in 10 years. I don't know. We were both really relaxed, and it was kind of weird.
That's awesome.
It took 9 years, but we finally figured out where we needed to be, and apparently we both stayed in our own lanes because I didn't tell anybody to keep him away from me.
Nice.
Yeah. No, the race went good. Yeah, we had, I don't know, 210,
10, 15,
215, say 215 or something finishers. And in our race, we encourage everybody to bring their family, their friends, their neighbor to come, and everybody eats free. We want to make it a fun, family-friendly event for everybody, and we try to make it accessible to anybody. Next year, we're going back to something we used to do, which was free entry for the kids, because we've seen a good number of kids this year back at the race, which we love seeing. So, you know, we haven't even put it out. I guess it's out on Facebook now that next year we're going back to any kid 15 and under gets free entry to Weetona to come on out and play for the day with us and eat cupcakes and bacon.
And that might be all they eat.
Yeah.
I think that was a lot of kids' plates. They walked by with bacon and cupcakes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Do you blame them? I mean, that's pretty much all I want.
and I mean, we don't even have to deal with this sugar coma that comes after all that. So.
Yeah. Did you guys both walk or run the course yesterday, or did you hang out at the pavilion?
I timed it.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I did what I took them through the first mile or whatever it was, just to get everybody through the first turn, get them used to stuff. And then I peeled off and ran back to the finish line and just harassed people, told bad jokes and gave bad advice on life. And that was about the gist of it, I think, you know.
Right.
Got around and ran my mouth to everybody, really.
Well, that's not hard for you to do.
No, that's for sure. I told Eric Kosek stories.
I mean, that's the park where you and I met. I've said this story before, but it's a special place because that's where we met.
It is. And we also have another tradition that goes
Yes.
on.
The New Year's Day run. First light on New Year's Day every year. We're probably going on, what, 6 or 7 now at least?
Yeah, it's been quite a few years. I mean, and we've had different people show up with us. I mean, most years Adam Russell's with us. We've had Albert Gensel show up. We've had different people.
Yep, best way to start my year. I know that.
Yeah.
All right, so I have some important questions to ask before I have to head out soon and meet my boss for dinner.
Go.
Okay. These are questions from the Running Mullet Facebook page, Instagram page. If you're not following us on Facebook, Instagram, please do, because there are fun conversations that happen in between the episodes. There's also a whole chat happening on YouTube right now. So if you're able to join us live right now, then you can join in on the chat. If you are joining us on the podcast, that's okay too. I hope you're having a great run or a great day. Here's some questions that came from Facebook. Do you braid your chest hair?
Only when I go to Eric's house.
Only when you go to Eric's house. There's our answer. Chad Brown says, have you done any modeling?
Only for him.
Only for Chad.
Only for Chad.
Great answer.
Love Chad.
Has your fame and good looks changed you at all?
Well, I'm not as good looking as Ben is, so.
You're not as good looking as Ben?
No.
We'll let the crowd determine that. We'll have a vote. How'd you get so dang fast? PJ says.
I had an older brother who liked to think he was into boxing. And for self-preservation, you learn to run fast. In my house as a kid, you did.
Have you given the Superman watch back to your grandson yet?
No, I have a whole bunch of them. Actually, I'm wearing my Batman Ultra watch. You push the button, it lights up.
Ooh, fancy.
I was lucky enough to be gifted one of them by John Johnson one time. I still have it.
Wow.
It's not on my wrist right now, but it was one of the coolest gifts I've ever received.
Not wearing that right now.
I should be. I'm sorry.
Rob says, "Why are you so good looking?"
Well, I didn't get blessed. Well,
He wasn't talking about you, John. He's talking about Amey.
Oh, well, that is true. She is beautiful.
It's just what my face looks like. Although we should have broke out the mullet picture from when we were.
Oh my, that's a good one. That is sex in a picture.
Oh boy, yes, it is.
This is definitely for you and not Amy. What year did you quit your career as a stripper, Graham?
What makes it? Why do they think I quit?
Michael Lowe asked.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not for him. Maybe he's just
No, we broke that out yesterday post race.
Yes,
We did.
it was Michelle's
Okay.
It was his
That's
girlfriend's birthday
another
yesterday.
reason. Cupcakes, more reasons to sign up next year for everybody. Let's see. That Gary Ferguson, this is verbatim. That Gary Ferguson wants to know if you know anything about real estate.
I wish I could tell that joke on here. When I see you guys in person next, I will tell you that joke.
Got it.
Gary Ferguson by the way, Gary Ferguson, everyone in the Ultra game should know his name. Go down to 3 days at the fair and look at every record down there almost, and Gary Ferguson probably owns them or pretty darn close to him. Great guy.
Okay.
He knows a little about real estate.
Yeah, he knows very little about real estate.
All right, good to know. And hold on, I lost my screen. Why are your shorts so short?
It feels good.
It does. That, and I have to shop in the kids section because I'm like half, I'm not real big here.
That's my answer is also because it's comfortable.
Yes. Yeah, you don't like, especially if you're running uphill, the long shorts seem to constrict you.
Yeah, they get in the way.
They
I gotta
do.
let my skin be free.
Yeah.
All righty. And those are all the questions from me. I have to go meet my boss for dinner. This is only day 6 of my new job. So
You're in Texas, right?
I'm in Texas. Yeah, I just came to Dallas and I did get hung up. I hope everybody's okay. There was a pretty rough accident that we went by. So it was a little bit late. But I'll be back next week. And I know this show probably went awesome. Just tell me that it would have been better if I was here to make me feel better.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I mean, it improved a lot once you got on. So
We'll be back to it next week, won't we? We're going to have an amazing show next week. But I know you 4 will wrap things up without me. I'm going to go have dinner with my boss and hope that it goes well. See everybody.
good luck, Grace.
Bye, Grace.
All right, let's wrap it up here shortly. But John, coming back to the race, Chief Watona Trail Challenge, throughout the years, and I think I remember you telling me this, like it's you always want everybody to sign up, and you want new people to sign up, you want returning people to sign up. But I think one thing that's worth mentioning to at least everybody that's listening and going to listen, and it's not just for Chief with Tone, the Trail Challenge, it's for any race, is that if you think you want to do it, or you want to do it, it's best for these races for the people that are organizing these races to sign up as early as you possibly can. Now, we all know that there's some races that are a year out that are selling out instantly, and it's crazy because no one knows what they're doing a year from now. It's tough, and everybody gets that. But I just want to throw it out there for people to keep in mind. Once you do know that, oh yeah, Watona has those cupcakes, I got to do it this year. We're not doing anything that weekend. Get your butt on the computer and sign up, because it makes the organizers, you and Amy's lives much easier. Am I right?
Right, 100%. Like big races, okay, we know they're going to sell out, and good for them. I mean, we do a lot of big races ourselves, so love them. But for us smaller events out here, we're trying to buy stuff ahead of time. And if people don't sign up, we're sometimes pulling money out of our checking account to buy stuff. And then you're like, man, I hope people sign up. Because if not, we had one year there right around or after COVID, we lost money putting the event on. But, as a small event, if people don't sign, if people wait to sign up, you're like, oh boy, how much stuff do I buy? And
Right.
If you overbuy, you end up losing money. It really makes it just easier for planning and to help races survive. And most races that get run aren't the big events, for most people. They're your local 5K, 10K, or your half marathon that go on in your neighborhoods, essentially. And to help out those race directors, sign up as early as you can. That way they know what budget they have to work with. And if you got a bigger, you know what your budget is up front for participants coming in, your race director can buy better swag because they know they know what they got to work with. Instead of waiting until last, everybody 50 people sign up to, the last day of registration. And then you're like, well, we've already bought all our swag. We can't, if we'd have known we had this money, we could have bought better stuff or more of for people.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. And it's something I remember you telling me, and I'd never really thought about it because I wasn't a race director, I don't see those side of things, but it makes perfect sense. And I kind of keep it in the back of my mind at any race I do now, or when I'm looking at my schedule and trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah. It makes it just easier for race directors to know what they're working with.
Yeah.
When we buy insurance, for example, we buy it based off the number of people that are going to be there. Mm-hmm. And if people, it's one of those things you like to take care of up front. When you're putting races on, Eric, and you know it now, all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on. Boy, if you sell out quick, you know what you got to buy. We can cross this off the list early. It's one less thing you got to worry about. You can get it out of the way.
Right.
You know how many porta potties you got to rent. There's just so much that makes it that you don't want to be short on porta potties.
Yeah. No, that's not good. What's next for you, John? What races do you have coming up? Just some of the trail series stuff, or what?
There's this one out towards Wellsboro I'm going to. It's come July.
That's not a race.
That's right. Yeah, it's not a race.
It's a group run. That's a group run. I'm going to that. I really don't have much on the schedule. I'll run some of the stuff in the Roxylvania series just because our race is part of it. And I've been running those races for years. Love the race directors and the crowds that are there. Really don't have too much on the schedule. I really would like to hit another long race this year, but I got to do some playing and see how the body's going to react. See how that groin is. Hopefully it's just, slipping in the mud that did it, but I got to go put some long runs in and see how that's going to work. But I wouldn't mind hitting 50 miler, maybe 100 miler this year. Try it.
Eastern State's still on your radar for next year, possibly?
Yeah, it's still there. I'd like to go, that's where Amey and I kind of grew up trail racing, back.
Definitely crewing.
Yeah, definitely crewing. But that was where trail racing was when we started racing back in 2010, 2011 trail racing. And we have so many friends down there. I mean, it's more like family that I always say about going to Heiner, it's like going to a family reunion with 1,000 of your friends or family that you actually like.
Yeah.
that's what it's like for us walking into one of the Central PA races, so yeah.
Well,
Can I add real quick?
yeah.
Because I know there's some people listening that I need to give recognition to. So Eric, I don't know about you, but my thighs are like thrashed from just all the overgrowth that we ran through, and there were so many blowdowns at like mile 80 that we had to you had to squat down and duck under, or I kept getting like whipped in the face because my eye level is different than a normal human's eye level. So like if the guy in front of me is like pushing tree limbs back, it comes back, it whips me right in the face. But so it's to John and Craig and Casey and Mike Stolfitz, like, man, you guys, you keep our trails clear, and I appreciate it. We are spoiled because it was not that way there.
150% agree. And I wanted to say that. And I said it about 100 times to Becky when she was pacing me on the trail.
Yeah.
And again, Massanutten is a fabulous race. It's a different world down there, but we are spoiled beyond belief up here when it comes to trail maintenance. My goodness.
We are. And then just the way they can congregate a whole crew of people, like for trail cleaning weekend in the end of March, like there was like 30 people that showed up every day. So for them to be able to congregate that and put that together, like my gratitude is huge for that.
Yeah. And no, I noticed right away about that, the overhanging branches and stuff in the way. And just like you're saying, like I was itchy all over because whatever.
I felt like he was covered in ticks,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll expound on that a little bit. Eric knows how we like our trails up here, and I'm very anal retentive about them. I spend a lot of time clearing them for our events. But this goes out to Craig Fleming down in Central PA, who he is the Pied Piper of this whole thing that goes on in Central PA. And Craig probably doesn't like when I say that about him, but it's true. But when Craig takes care of his volunteers, if you go out on a work day with Craig and them guys down there and you break your piece of equipment, it generally gets replaced by Craig. He takes all his people out that do trail work to lunch. He buys their lunch for them. And he makes sure if they want to run one of his races, they get that opportunity. And when we started our race, Craig gave us some advice. And rule number 1 was you take care of your participants and you take care of your volunteers, and your race is probably going to be okay. And Craig does it better than anybody else I've seen.
I agree.
Yeah, he's got it all. He's got to figure it out for sure.
Yeah. And anybody that comes to Central PA to race, and if they hang around and they see how it functions down there, they all say the same thing. They're like, wow, what goes on? This is like you guys were saying about coming into the Pine Creek Valley, how it's a different world.
Yeah.
And it truly is. Come into a Craig Fleming, or if you go out to the Tioga Running Club, out the Green Monster, and some of those other events, it's a different world than a lot of the other races that get put on elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see John Schaefer's comment. Plus, if you're on a wait list and you do a work day, you move up on the list.
Hey, it's how it should work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You also forgot Adam's comment.
I seen Adam Kolb on there. I on my list. We told Adam Kolb, who Kolb's the baddest man around, I would go do a Spartan with him. I'm gonna die because I'm built like a 12-year-old girl. I can barely lift my cell phone up.
And you hate the gym.
Yeah, I know a guy named Jim. Besides that, let's be honest about it.
Well, John, getting back to Eastern States next year, I know a guy who would be happy to pace you. So just keep that in mind.
I will keep that in mind.
It would be pretty cool. And even though it's over a year out, I'm pretty sure my weekend's free, if you know what I mean.
I think I know what you mean.
So get that 50-miler done.
Wait, that means I get to hang out with Becky.
You get to hang out with Becky, so that's a good weekend.
And no, I have to take him though.
Yeah.
That's a part of it.
Yep. All right. Marisa, what have you, so you've done a couple 100-milers now. Is there anything like in your head? And I know I asked this because for me, and I'm probably for John too, after we completed some of this bigger stuff, for me, it was like, well, what's next? What's next? What else can I do? Is there any thoughts like that in your head, or like is 100-mile you pretty content with like just chilling there?
The stage of life that I'm in with a husband that I love to spend time with and 2 girls that still need me, I think the reality of doing more than 100 miles right now is not there. Like you would just need to put so much more time into training, and I just don't have that time right now. I do have my eyes on Fat Dog 120. I mean, that might be like the next step, but anything over that, I don't know if it's in my capabilities yet, just because my mind is always on my family. And I know, Eric, like there's just so much guilt that you have to figure out when you're out there and your family's back here. And I haven't figured that out yet. So maybe once I'm a little older, or once the girls are a little older, more mileage might be in the books for me. I'm very happy with what I've accomplished and what I have coming next. So I'm just Fat Dog 120 might be there, but after that, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, that one's always been on my radar too. I came close one year, and I forget I just wasn't available. I couldn't make it work, but it sure looks like a beautiful one, and somewhere different to get to see for sure.
The other thing, like traveling, I don't have the opportunity right now to travel to different races, which is why I'm so grateful that we have what we have here in Pennsylvania. So, like I said, maybe once the girls are older, that can be put into place. But I'm just happy with what Pennsylvania offers me right now.
Cool, fair enough. I do know how you feel, and it's hard because you want to be a part of it, and then you don't. Certain things, it's just hard to take them, and I don't know. I go back and forth with it, but there's definitely guilt. But much respect to you for what you're doing. I hope we get to hang out more in person and get to know each other more. I truly respect what you do, and I'm serious. I love your smile. It amazes me that you can smile the whole way through a 100-mile race, and it is. I mean, if somebody just really thinks about that, like that's true joy, the definition of joy. Yeah. Some people might think this ultra running stuff is crazy, but you can't smile for that long if you're not in your happy place that whole time.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome to see, and it's a great smile, and you seem like a great human.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that, and I respect you as well. And John, it was great to get to know you. I've seen your name, but I never really got to know who you are. So I appreciate getting to know you tonight.
It's great meeting you. And hey, great job down in Massanutten. That is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know what the best part about running these hundreds is eating all the food afterwards and not caring. I don't know about you, Marisa. Like, I'm still there. We stopped at Chinese buffet yesterday on the way home, and today is just like, leave me alone. I'm eating.
I may have picked up a gallon of ice cream on my way home to my cottage yesterday where I was staying. I may have.
It's weird. My brain's still kind of mush. Yeah, here. We're gonna check out here in a second, but I wanna go totally off topic. So I'm in the shower tonight, right before this show.
Great.
I don't know about you guys, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a little anal in the shower or weird, but like I always have the same system. All right. I wash my body with the soap, same arm first, then arm, then leg, then chest, then feet. And then I get done. I wash my hair, no, not my hair.
Just like I wash mine.
I wash my head and my face. I'm a very quick showerer, like 5 minutes or less, I'm out. But I think I clean myself. But it's a pattern, guys. All right. Do you guys have a pattern in the shower, or do you really change it up every night?
I take way longer than 5 minutes. I'm in there.
No, that's fine. But is your shower like? Is it always the same pattern of what you're doing, job you're doing, or is it whatever you're thinking? You're like, oh, get this tick off down here, and get this bruise up here.
I guess it's circumstantial. I guess it's dependent on if I just like go to work and then sit around all day, I'm going to spend less time in there than if I run 100 miles, 100 miles through heavy bush where I have to check for ticks. So.
What about you, John and Amy? Do you have a system when you go in, or is it just willy-nilly?
I probably actually have a system. I just don't think about it.
Right. No, I know. Well, here's the thing. I don't think about it either, but I know I do the same thing every time I go in there, right? Well, tonight, John, no comment, but I dropped the soap. In the middle of my system, I dropped the soap, and I picked the soap back up, I picked the soap back up, and I had no idea what to do with myself because
All over,
I
didn't you?
just messed up my pattern. I didn't know if I was halfway through my left arm. I didn't know if I just started my right arm. I'm serious. I didn't know where to begin or where I was going to end.
Are
And
you
it was,
still feel like you still running a calorie deficit? Like what's going on?
I don't know.
So
But
on the road for Christmas this year for this guy.
so I basically started over from the beginning because I couldn't just jump right back in. It's a weird story, but I thought about it and I just had to share it.
Makes perfect sense from you, Eric.
So I think things are a little like kooky up there still.
I don't know why, man. I can't figure it out.
Just start over, Eric, is what John Schaefer says. Well, that's precisely what I did. I know there's people out there that do the same darn thing every night in the shower. I will argue this forever.
You're right.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, we're going to finish up. This was our longest show yet, so I appreciate you hanging in there.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it, Eric.
Absolutely. Hopefully you guys can come back at some point and talk about other running stuff. But we appreciate you being a part of the Running Mullet, and thanks for your time, and tell your friends and join in. Thanks for everybody else that joined in and commented. We appreciate it. Marisa, go rest up, eat all the ice cream.
You too, Eric. Congratulations.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.
See ya.